I talked to Georgia yesterday, but she's there.
I'm here.
Now, is that your house or your child's house?
That's her house.
Okay. Well,
Yes, and us that were, online last month, we didn't get to meet the assistant director either. We couldn't see her.
I wasn't thinking about that. I should have asked her to stay for a little bit, but I'll see if she can come to the lunch meeting. And think about that, there were a few of you that work here.
What's that? No. It could be the furnace, maybe, but that's really hard to hear. Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Judy, can we get a roll call, please?
okay. Ron McMullen,
Here.
Judy Walter. Here. Carlin Dillon,
Here.
Anna Brookshire. Here. Jane Beal. Here. I almost forgot about you. You're sitting over there in the dark. Sandy Henke.
Here.
Georgia Jarman,
Here.
Fern Detheridge,
Here.
Scotty Walker,
Present.
and Susie Tyler. I'm here.
So everybody's present, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Tonight we are being observed by some of the Boy Scouts from the Holden Boy Scout troop. So if you can hear us, welcome.
Hey.
And do we have any public comments? All right, welcome, Scouts. Glad you could figure out how to sign in. All right, consent agenda. I'm sorry, but I didn't get a chance to read the minutes, so I heard there. I'm just going by what the group said, so.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussion on any of the consent agenda items?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ron McGowan, second by Jana Brookshire. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ron McMullen,
Yes.
Judy Walter. Yes. Jane Beal. Yes. Carlin Dillon,
Yes.
Jana Brookshire. Yes. Sandy Henke,
Yes.
Fern Detheridge,
Yes.
Georgia Jarman,
Yes.
Judy Tyler, yes, and Scotty Walker.
Yes. Do we have any unfinished business?
Nope.
All right. Any new business?
So consider approval of assistant director credit card with credit limit of 5,000. This is just kind of standard policy that we bring that to you for approval when we issue credit cards, before we issue credit cards.
I make a motion that we, extend a $5,000 limit to the assistant director.
We have a motion to, authorize a $5,000 credit card limit to the assistant director. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Georgia.
Second by Georgia. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ron McMullen,
Yes.
Judy Walter,
Yes.
Jane Beal,
Yes.
Harlan Dillon,
Yes.
Jan Brookshire,
Yes.
Sandy Henke,
Yes.
Georgia Jarman,
Yes.
Karen Dethridge,
Yes.
Judy Tyler, yes, Scotty Walker,
Yes.
unanimous.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you. Now, we have hard stuff, or at least it looks hard.
It was hard putting it together. So yeah, 6B, consider approval of changes to policy F203, which is our leave policy. So I just kind of want to preface this first. After I sent the packet out, I got some more information from legal counsel that there are other areas, not what we proposed for changes, but other areas that needed to be updated as well. So instead of asking for approval tonight, I would just suggest that we just have discussion. And then if there's any guidance or revisions or anything like that, then I can bring it back at the March meeting and ask for approval for the whole thing, instead of having to bring it 2 times, 2 versions. Essentially, I'm asking for 3 changes. So the PTO switching over to annually, and then separating out sick leave. The second change, of course, adding the sick leave. And then the third change would be the PTO allowing us to carry over past that 240 until our anniversary date. On the anniversary date, accrue past the 240. On the anniversary date, only carry over to. And so I gave you information there. So I don't know if you have questions or anything for me.
Just a comment, I don't know what, staffing has, I know that there have been a lot of staffing changes in the library. So I can imagine there were a lot of chances where employees may have wanted to use leave, but they felt they could not face time. Someone needed to be there, right? So to have that flexibility with the leave time, I think would be really important for both the supervisors who are trying to manage time off requests, as well as the employees who maybe felt compelled to work when they had leave. In my work.
And I was telling Jackie earlier, I worked at a situation where I was a supervisor of 5 people, and it was a January to the end of December, and you had to use all of yours up, and no matter how many times you told the people you have to use them by December 31st, everybody waited until the Christmas holidays, and if you didn't let them off, they were not nice.
Yeah.
And no supervisor wants to say, no, you're just gonna have to lose PTO accrual, I can't give you that time off. So.
I had that happen to me.
And it's not fun, is it?
Well, actually, I had requested the time off and signed the leave paperwork, and he said, no, you're not.
Oh, that's never.
You're just take it off.
I know some public entities that if they've gone over their maximum paid time off, and that's going to be expiring, they would have the option to cash out. Does the library have that option for?
I did not put that in there because we're still trying to keep it that 240. The only thing that we did put in there is if they couldn't do it by their anniversary date, and this is only gonna apply to a very few people, probably in administration, more probably me or the assistant director, where we have projects and things that we wouldn't be able to use it by the anniversary date, and then we could ask for an extension, so a 30-day extension or something to get it down to that 240, so we didn't lose it. But that's the only caveat that we would have in there, and that would be really rare that would happen. Because we want to encourage people to take the time off for that self-care and everything, so.
So they can only carry over 240 hours. Like, they can't carry like 5 years worth of paid time off and.
No. So what I'm asking for right now, when they hit 240, they no longer accrue, so every pay period. So like, for instance, I'm gonna use myself as an example. Of course, I'm not anywhere close to 240 yet, but if I was, being the director, there may be times when I can't take off because of the workload and staffing, all these different things, projects that I'm working on. And so I would feel like that would be punishment for me, working hard, to actually lose any additional accrued PTO, where if you allow us to accrue past that, and then on my anniversary date, July 19th, I have to be down to 30, in order to carry that over. If not, you lose whatever it is above that.
Sandy?
Oh,
Yes, my question is, you said, we could wait till March to approve this, but do you see a need that we need to approve this? Because I know we have a lot of new people and trying to get them, get everything back rolling and square that, we still go ahead and take care of this tonight and then just have to add on or amend at the next time. So you have, so you're trying to get all your ducks in a row there. I mean, do you need this into effect now so people can know what's going on, that it's fair and square to everybody? I don't know.
If that's, the board's wishes, I would be fine if you guys wanted to do a vote whether to approve it or not tonight. Just know I'm gonna have to bring the leave policy back to you again next month for the other changes. So it's whichever. Honestly, the sooner the better, because then we can we have to figure it all out, how it's gonna work in ADP, and everything.
You said you're waiting on a little bit more from legal.
I've already got the information, yeah.
One thing that concerns me, and I mentioned this to Jackie earlier, and it involves our current policy as well as the proposed one. This proposed policy is very similar to what we had where I worked for 27 years. And our accountant and our auditor called us on the carpet for having that much annual leave carried over. He said that it was physically irresponsible to obligate the company for that much time in advance. And he didn't feel like it was a good idea with people having 6 weeks leave if too many left at the same time or resigned at the same time, that it could cause a lot of problems. And that kind of made sense to me, that we're obligated for all that time that's on the books. And I just thought I would mention it and see if anybody else was concerned about it.
On a similar note, Fern, back in 2006, we had 2 long-term employees resign at the same time, and we were on the hook for about $100,000 in paying out on that. So that's where the policy that we have now came about, to avoid that. So I understand what you're saying, because we had to write 2 really large checks right in a row.
And Fern is correct.
They suggested that we not have more than 3 weeks carryover. And then that was the guy that did our taxes and our accountant.
You said something about 3 weeks.
That's what they suggested, was not more than 3 weeks.
Okay.
How big was your company though? How many employees?
It varied according to what contracts we were working under, but it was anywhere from 180 to 250.
Mm.
Okay, thank you.
Sandy, you can go.
Yeah, okay, I kind of have to agree with Fern a little bit too, because the office that I worked in, and then it would turn out, we had everybody taking Fridays off. You know, they had this time to use, and there we are on Fridays with 2 people in an office out of, 20 people. So I don't know, there's a toss up there, but I can see that's a lot of hours to carry on the books, the 240, and maybe, maybe that needs to be cut in half, or less, a little more than half. I don't know, because that puts the library could put us in a bind for a little while.
I don't think so. I mean, we had one person that had only been in her position 6 months or so, and we asked her, well, how much leave time do you have coming? And she came up with this, and I looked at other people, I said, that's 6 weeks. There's no way that she should be taking that much time. It wasn't. She was just confused about the whole thing.
She just was reading what was in the policy,
Right.
not actually what her accrual was.
Right.
It does take some time to build up to that maximum
Right.
amount, and go ahead.
I wanted to ask about accrual rates and how that would be impacted by adding sick leave. Are you taking your PTO and splitting it, where part of it is earned as annual leave and part of it is earned as sick leave?
Not completely, but I did take some from the existing PTO and moved that to the sick leave, but it wasn't a complete split. And it didn't account for all of it, obviously. But what I did was I took, essentially the 3 tiers that we have. I took 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and 5 weeks. And then whatever was left above that, what we have existing, I moved that to the sick leave. I have to, in today's job market, I mean, we have to be competitive, not only with our salaries, but with our benefits to get those quality applicants in.
And by separating out annual leave from sick leave, you have a little bit more control over how hours are used by employees. So to take some of that annual leave, you do have to have approval from the supervisor, which means in circumstances, the supervisor has the right to say, sorry, everyone cannot take Friday off. A couple people do need to be. I'm not too worried about that 240 cap. With the understanding that the annual and the sick leave are separate. That's my stance as well.
I think David's done a good job of putting it together and thinking of all the things that she's come across and building them into this policy.
I would move to approve the proposal as written.
But we're gonna have to amend it next month.
Right,
I
so I'll
think
just
we
bring
can
it
hold it
back.
off till next month to approve the whole thing.
It doesn't, I mean, the only thing is, if it's not approved, I can't go ahead and start trying to figure things out. But it's whatever the board wants to, if you want to vote
Well,
on it tonight.
how much of the changes are we expecting for next month? Is it gonna be a big one, or is it a small thing, or?
I think it's pretty small. It's mainly, I believe, the military leave. There's a section that was left out. And I don't know if it was updated and it's a
They're
new
called to
thing.
duty, they get that time.
Yes. So
not
it's
chargeable.
mainly that. So I don't think it would be, it's not changes to.
So it would be
it's
a small,
stuff
it would just be a small amendment.
Right, right. So I'm open to whichever direction you guys want to go.
So not completely on topic, but you did kind of address it, and I've read this in the last couple of reports, haven't asked about it, but are we still having trouble with this this personnel payroll software?
ADP?
It seems like Karen mentions every report that there's something wrong, and we were told that this was the greatest thing ever, and
Well, you
I'm
have,
not seeing it.
you have to work out the kinks and,
Well, yeah,
because
but
it's specific for us.
but we're going on 6 months now. I'm just asking, are we?
No, she's not, just the last couple months, she hasn't had a problem.
Things are smoothing out, she's having less issues, but when there's something new that comes up, there's still that learning curve to figure it out. When this all started, I think Tanya and Kyle were kind of learning right along with her so that we would have extra people. Because they're both gone now, and so she's kind of left to her own devices. And so she's trying to figure things out. So it's usually, once we get a problem fixed, then it's when something new comes up, then we have to kind of figure that out. And she's a little stressed about how all this is gonna work, because it's gonna be a change, and there may be some bumps in the road to get this all done. But she's learning, and it's, we do it one day at a time, but we've got a lot of it down, and it'll just continue to be that way.
Okay.
So it's only been, what, 7 months or so?
I'll say 6 months or so, right?
And it's honestly, for a system like this to, switch over, whether you're switching from an existing one or starting one from manually doing the process, in my experience, it can take a few years actually to get all the bugs worked out and really for that person to learn the system.
And hopefully she is.
Hopefully she doesn't leave in the meantime. We're gonna start cross-training, so she is not the only one that kind of knows how to do that. And our HR manager is also working with that because they have to tag team it. One is the benefits and the salary, and then the other one is doing the payroll portion of things.
Okay. Are we gonna, does the board wanna go ahead and vote on this?
I've
and
made
put it
the
on
motion.
paper?
We have a motion.
I've made the motion,
You
but
made
I
the
wonder if
motion.
anybody's gonna second or if it's gonna.
I'll
die on
second
the
it.
table.
Okay. Well, I was gonna bring it up for the second, but I wanted to ask about the
No, yeah,
software.
discussion.
So we have a, motion by, Jana, second by Carlin. Is there any further discussion?
Now, your motion was to go ahead and approve.
Approve it
Approve it.
as written.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ron McMullen,
Yes.
Would-be.
Huh?
Would-be fine.
Judy Walter,
No.
Jane Beal,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
Jenna Brookshire,
Yes.
Sandy Hinky,
Yes.
Georgie Jarman,
Yes.
Fern Deathridge,
I'm sorry, I did not understand what we're voting on.
We're voting to approve the personnel policy as written. Or as
Okay.
proposed.
Okay, yes,
Judy Tyler, no. Scotty Walker.
I'm gonna be a no also.
Motion passed with 7 yes, 3 no.
All right. Thank you. Any other new business?
I think that was it.
All right. I just have an announcement. As you see on your agenda there, Charles Keesman, who was a board member, I don't know when he started, but he was on the board when I came on back in the early 2000s. And was just a wonderful. Judy, did you serve with him?
No, I didn't, so he was off the board.
Okay, I can't remember when he went off, but he was a former secretary, wrote meticulous notes. I've done anything about what you're doing, but he was sat there, wrote meticulous longhand notes, and was just a genuinely really nice man, and I was sorry to see he passed away, so just wanted to point that out. And there is.
I have just a couple
You have
more
something else?
announcements
Okay.
that came up after. So our COVID response plan, will be changing, moving down to level 3. Our numbers have continued to decline, and they're well into level 3 already. So that'll go into effect, next Tuesday. I will be out of the office next week. My best friend from New York is coming to visit, and so I am looking forward to showing her around Warrensburg. And then, Linda Washam's service, we've got the information on that, so that is going to be March 5th at Life Point Church in Odessa. And I have the address, 707 South First Street. Visitation will be at 10, and then the service will start at 11. The church is on 131 at the Fork in the Road as you enter town from the south, which is helpful for me.
What side?
The church is on 131 at the fork of the road as you enter town from the south. It doesn't say which.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I know where it's at.
I didn't see that with you.
Right there, it's,
Which church, the Baptist?
Life Point Church.
Oh,
in
Life
Odessa.
Point Church, oh, okay. It's where there's a V,
Right.
if you're coming up, yeah.
Oh,
right
okay.
there in the middle of the V.
any other announcements? Wow, this was a fast meeting. Boy Scouts, you're lucky, it was a fast meeting. All right, I will adjourn. Thank you.